Good day, students, and welcome back to our channel. Today we will be looking at teaching reading and viewing for TMN3701, Teaching English First Additional Language. We will start off with an introduction, the readiness to read, methods of teaching reading, reading aloud and independently, the framework for reading, skimming, scanning, and inferencing, guidelines of literary and non-literary texts. We will also look at visual literacy and then some questions to engage with on our forum. Right, so Unit 10 covers getting ready to read. Unit 11 covers a framework for reading and viewing, and then of course the different types of texts which we will look at later on in this presentation. I've combined these units because they all are connected and relate to each other. Right, so we'll start off with the readiness to read. Here it is how you determine how ready your learners are. You look at the levels of reading as well as recording their progress. Okay, as a teacher, you need to obviously support your learners, and in this way, you can provide some labels of um, English labels or English captions for all the pictures and objects in your classroom. You can also provide a word freeze where this is attach a picture and a word on an A4 piece of paper, and this you can attach to one wall and you can have it displayed in your classroom. That you can use for your theme words or for the your vocab for the week. Then you can also have some matching pictures to actions where you can incorporate verbs or doing words. And then, of course, once they are more comfortable with reading more than one word, you can look at sentences on flashcards and as well attach pictures there. Right, moving on, you can provide support by also providing or creating a weather chart with your students, having a lot of pictures in your classroom, having books and picture books available for their use. All right, the methods of teaching formal reading. There are a number of approaches which are on the screen. So we have the alphabet approach when we learn the letters of the alphabet. The phonics approach, which is first sound out the letters, then combine the sounds to make the word. So for example, k, a, t makes cat. Okay, look and say approach where learners immediately say a whole word without being able to spell it. The whole word approach, which is your sight reading or your sight words. The sentence approach, which is a whole sentence, is provided to learners. Language experience approach, where learners use their own language and grammar to create reading materials. Syllabic approach, where they use syllables to read, and the eclectic approach, which is a combination of these different approaches. So, of course, you will not only use the alphabet approach, you might use the alphabet and the look and say approach when it comes to formal reading and how you are going to approach this with your learners. Right, there are four main phases that you need to be aware of. It starts off with the preparation phase, then we move on to class reading, group reading, and independent reading. So the main goal here is to get learners to be independent readers, but of course we need a starting point, okay? And that starting point is our preparation phase, where learners do not start reading a long text immediately. Here the teacher prepares the readers depending on the learner's competence. So here we can use flashcards, short sentences, and word recognition or sound activities. Okay, so you do that for about a month or two, depending on the ability of your learners. Then once your learners are competent in the preparation phase and they are happy with you are happy with where they are, you can then move on to class reading. Okay, this follows the preparation phase, and the purpose is to prepare learners to read independently. So our main goal is to get learners to read independently. Remember, class reading can happen in a range of ways. Okay, so you can have guided reading, you can have shared reading, and so forth, but today we're going to focus on the whole class reading. Okay, ensure all learners are partaking in the reading task. It should only be about a paragraph or a short story. It should be written or displayed on the board and not in front of each learner. And the learners read together as the teacher points to each word. During class reading, some learners will read aloud while others read silently simultaneously. So, for example, one learner reads and others follow, or you can also alternate between learners. Right. Once you are happy with the class reading and you've done this for a few sessions, you can then move on to group reading. This aspect of reading provides for differentiation, which is excellent. After you have practiced in class reading sessions for about 2 months or so, you will have a good idea of which level learners are in terms of reading. Learners are then divided into groups, and you may also have mixed groups. So you may have groups where it's the same ability or same level of reading, or you may also have mixed groups where you can pair a stronger reader with a weaker reader, and the stronger reader will lead the session and assist the students who are struggling. Right, problems that you may encounter. So, word for word reading. Yeah, learners are not yet competent in reading where they might sound out words and it doesn't see the word or the sentence as a whole. This problem can be overcome by writing sentences on flashcards, show each card to them for a few seconds, and then take it away. The learner then tries to say the whole sentence without looking at the flashcards. Okay? The next problem you may encounter is hesitation to pronounce words. When reading material is too difficult for learners, they become tense and hesitant and it can be corrected by doing word recognition exercises with learners. Right. Then if a learner leaves out words or adds in words, this is caused by incorrect eye movement. Okay, so this can be corrected by, advising parents to take their children to the optometrist, but it also can be corrected by using the brush and tin method. Incorrect pronunciation, which is just poor knowledge of sounds. Here you need to do pronunciation exercises with learners and ensure learners get the opportunity to listen to home language speakers of English. Right. Then so we obviously have moved from class reading and group reading, and now we're going to move on to independent reading, which we also know as silent reading. The ultimate purpose of silent reading is that learners have the opportunity to read on their own. Encourage learners to read, encourage them to love reading, and also suggest good books for learners. This implies that you, as the teacher, should be familiar with English books that is suited for first additional language learners. Okay, it's also good to get different levels of these books and have them displayed in your classroom so that it is accessible for your learners. Right, a framework for reading and viewing. Okay, so we're going to go through three phases. So it's pre-reading activities, while reading activities, and of course the post-reading activities. So remember, you won't do all these activities at once. It all depends on what exactly you are assessing or what is the purpose of your lesson. Okay, so in the pre-reading activity, this is before we are reading or viewing anything. We need to ensure we activate background knowledge, ensuring that children know and have an idea of what the book is going to be about. So, for example, if the book is about the weather in South Africa, we will then discuss the weather of the week or the weather of the month and how it was different, how it was similar, and so forth. Then we will look at the source, author, and publication date because you can get a lot of background of the author and their type of writing. Okay, reading the first and last paragraphs of a section, making connections to what they already know, and then, of course, making predictions. What do they think the book is going to be about? Right. While reading activities, yeah, it's a continuous check for understanding. You're using contextual clues to find meaning. Okay. You can use your phonics or word attack skills also to find meaning. Identify or look at how the text is structured or how it is organized. Okay. Consider the language that is used in the text. Distinguish between facts and opinion, making inferences. So, inferences are educated guesses depending on the clues or the observations that they've made. Okay, then looking at the register of the text as well as the denotation and connotations of the text. Okay, yeah, you can also, while reading, try and identify the graphical techniques as well as the metacognition for improved comprehension. Right, post reading activities. So these can vary, okay? It's important to know that post reading activities is to let the learners link the text to their real life situations and experiences. It helps them to personalize the information when applying the text to their own experiences. So make sure that your texts are contextual based so that children can easily relate to what they are reading. Okay, so post reading activities can be a basic discussion where you look at what the text is about, what is the main topic, and the central ideas. Okay, what did you know now? What didn't you know before? Do I agree or disagree? And do I understand the author's point of view? And also, is the author relatable? Okay, then you can go on to start, discussing, different aspects of the text and have more direct questions in terms of what the text is about. Right, now we're going to go on to speak about skimming and scanning, okay? We will also touch on inferencing because, of course, these three skills are quite important. Right, so skimming, the definition is when you are able to read faster when you skim a text. Skimming is a highly specialized reading skills, okay? So it entails far more than merely just rapid reading or reading quickly. It is also important to note that it is not a lazy reader's technique, but rather a preeminent characteristic of a good reader, okay? We do not read every word, but rather we glide our eyes over text by looking at headings, subheadings, keywords, illustrations, and so forth. Okay? With skimming, we are getting a main idea of what the text is about. So we're looking at the clues that the author is giving us. Okay? With skimming, you can also read the first or the last paragraph of a chapter to kind of get an idea of what the chapter would be about. Right, a skimming activity. This is in your study guide. Okay, here you can give children a copy of a text. Okay, it should be, of course, long enough and suited for a specific purpose. And it should be at the comprehension level of the class. So obviously a text that all the learners will be able to read with understanding. Okay, you need to obviously explain to them what skimming is and why we use this skill. All right, so when skimming, to gain a preview, first read the title, the subheadings, look at the first and last paragraph, and then of course focus on the introductory sentences of paragraphs and so forth. Okay, we are going to be looking for an overview. So if there's a table of contents, a foreword, or introduction, read these first. Then you will give learners clear instructions as that they must begin when you give them the signal. Okay, and the time will be recorded, so you're going to see how quickly they are able to skim through the text and ensure that they have a clear understanding of what the text is about. Okay, once they have skimmed through the text, they will then write a summary of what they think the text is about. After they have all written the summary, you can then provide them with a memo so they can see and evaluate how well did they skim through the text or what do they need to work on. Right, scanning, which is similar but different to skimming, okay? It is the fastest kind of reading you can do. When you scan, you pay no attention to anything other than a particular item you are looking for, okay? It is a specific technique used to find specific facts and details related to the preconceived aim. People use this technique when they are looking, for example, a telephone number in a telephone directory. You are not reading through or skimming through each page. You are scanning quickly to see, okay, the alphabetical order. I'm looking for M, and there is the number. Okay, so for example, if you ask the learners, what is the main character's name in the story? They will scan the text and look for the main character. Okay, where does the main character live? They will scan quickly to the text and then they will answer the question once they have allocated the answer. Okay, so you can see skimming is to get an overview of the text, whereas scanning is you are looking for one particular item or one particular specific um, piece of information. Right, so scanning exercise you can do from a particular reading exercise, you could choose certain information for learners to look for, as such names of specific people, dates, figures given, or specific statements made. Okay? Explain to learners that when scanning, they must constantly keep in mind the shape of what they are looking for. So, for example, if it is a figure, if it is one word, if it is a price, if it is a word beginning with a capital letter, a date, or unfamiliar word or a long word or a sentence. Okay, once they bear that in mind, they can quickly scan through the text quite easily. Okay, scanning exercises can be practiced regularly in class. For example, using classified adverts and letting the learners look for the prices of goods or telephone numbers. Contact lists on cell phones and dictionaries could also be used regularly for the scanning purpose. Making inferences, so this is very important. Okay, inferencing is an important reading strategy that learners must learn. This we know as an educated guess based on observations. Okay, so if you infer something, it's based on something that you have seen from a text, from an image, and so forth. And here you are reading between the lines. So it might not be obvious, but you are making an inference based on what you've observed. Okay, and my example here is if a learner comes to school dressed in a Chiefs or Pirates football t shirt, we infer that they like the team. We assume, we take an educated guess because we've seen them wear the t-shirt. All right, so now we're going to look at the different kinds of texts. Okay, you can become familiar with each type of text on page 110. There's a good in detailed description of each one. I'm not going to explain all of the different texts, but I'm simply giving you an overview, and your homework will be to go back and to please read from page 110 on the different kinds of texts. Right, so when we are teaching learners, we need to obviously introduce them and give them the opportunity to read different kinds of texts. Okay, so we're going to look at literary text, which looks at stories, which looks at fiction, traditional stories, as well as adventure stories, science fiction, biographies, and historical fiction. Okay, we will also encourage to expose them to plays and as well as to poetry. Okay, why we introduce all these kinds of text to learners so that we can create a love for reading. Okay, as a teacher we also need to find a balance between text and reader directed approach. It also exposes them to a lot of vocabulary. Okay, give learners the opportunity to read aloud as much as you can. And then, of course, as a teacher, in order to provide relevant pre reading, while reading, and post reading activities, you yourself need to be familiar with each type of text. So please do go and read that in the study guide. Right, so also the key features that we need to take note of. So it is the storyline, characters, background, setting, and plot, as well as the text structure and format. Okay. In the study guide from page 115 to 122, it shows you a good way on how to teach each of these. It is important that you familiarize yourself with this because this could come up in assignment or it could come up in an examination where how would you teach characters of a story to learners? How would you teach a setting or plot to learners? Okay, it is in the study guide, it is well detailed, and that is why I'm not going to go into detail in this presentation surrounding that. So please do go and read page 115 to 122. You can also pause this video and revert back to the video once you have consulted these pages. The non-literary text, which we also need to expose learners to, which is information text. So this is procedures, factual recounts, general knowledge text, informative text such as reports. Okay. Then we have social and media texts. So social is invitations, greeting cards, letters, and notices. Whereas media text would be something you find in the media, so advertisements, newspaper reports, magazine articles, notices, and pamphlets. Okay, again, familiarize yourself. Also make a start collecting these items in a file so that when it does come to the, your time to teach, you have um a good collection of each different non-literary text. You can do that as well for the literary text section as well, just to do a good collection and have a good collection of these different texts. Right, so visual literacy, which is a little bit different to text, of course, because we are all, it is all about the interpretation of visual images. Okay, you pay attention to the composition, use of color, lines, texture, type of shot, and the focus of the shot. Okay, so yeah, we're not specifically looking at words, but we are looking at the message that is coming through the visual images. Okay, and that's why, as a teacher, it is important to incorporate pictures, photographs, and other visual material in class frequently and analyze them. Look at the use of color, look at the texture. How did they shoot it? What was the focus of it? Okay? So, the visual literacy that you will introduce to your learners is advertising posters and pamphlets, drawings, photographs, cartoons, and comic strips, as well as graphs and charts. Use a variety of these, and you can also incorporate them in other aspects as well, and not only in a specific lesson or a reading lesson. Right, questions to engage with on the forum for these three units. What guidelines would you keep in mind when teaching literary texts? How would you go about teaching the plot of a text? What is meant by the background and setting of a text? How would you teach learners to understand the characters of a text? Why is it important to create a love for reading in the classroom? And what are the differences between skimming and scanning and scanning? Right. Thank you, students, and thank you so much for listening to my presentation today. Good luck on tackling Unit 10, 11, and 12, and I look forward to hearing from you in the forum on our module site. Thank you, and good luck.